Yeah, I think that the recent task report, cherishing all equally economic inequality in Ireland, it proves the point about the extreme rise of inequality in Ireland, a situation where the 1% has an average income of €373,000 a year, compared to the bottom 90% with an average income of €27,400. A situation where Ireland has the highest level of gross income inequality in the European Union, which is rooted in particular, the fact that 1 in 5 are low paid, the highest number in the EU, and the almost 1 in 5 households which are entirely jobless. It gives a picture of the very strong recovery that the government talks about in its amendment. That's the recovery that they have in mind for working class people. It's a recovery which has deepened inequality, it's a recovery for the rich, it's a recovery for the corporations, and it's based on the increased exploitation of large sections of working class people. It's based on low wage, precarious employment, and that's the reality. And of course it's part of a global picture. It's the reason why Piketty's book is so popular and has become such a talking point, because inequality is undoubtedly growing right across the world. It's in the nature of capitalism as we currently have it to increase inequality in a gross way, hence the very notion of the 1% and the 99%. And it has a real cost. I mean, there's a real cost. It's not just that's the government's response is like inequality. It's some abstract notion that is of interest to some academics. But I mean, the section, the 90%, their share of national income has fallen from 72.7% in 1977 to 63% in 2012. That has a real impact. That's worth €11 billion. If that income share was reversed at the moment, every single household in that 90% would have €7,400 more worth of income per year. That's the cost of inequality, and which has a real impact in terms of poverty, material deprivation experienced by 1.4 million people in this state. But I want to raise a question, right, about we have a series of measures set out that I agree with in this motion. What happens when a left government comes to power committed to those policies? Because we have an example now. In Greece, a left government came to power committed to those sorts of policies. And what happened was an attempted and largely effective annulment of the Greek election results. That the wishes of the Greek people have been entirely ignored by the European establishment, and the Irish government lining absolutely behind them to stab the Greek people in the back, at the same time stabbing ordinary people in this country in the back. The unelected institutions of the European Commission, Juncker declared there are no democratic choices possible outside the framework of the European treaties. The unelected ECB, that has been the key player in 2 silent coups against governments, basically said to the Greeks, we're going to bring down your banking system if you don't go and implement the kind of austerity that you want to do. So the question has to be asked, how is it possible for a left government to implement progressive, pro-equality policies in the framework of the EU rules and in the framework of the rules of monetary union? And the answer is it's not. The economic monetary union is a straitjacket for neoliberalism, as is the European Union. And so it's necessary for the left to prepare, in advance of being in power, to say the kind of battle that is necessary to take the interests of capital in Europe on. To say that the euro is not a fetish, to say that if the choice is between staying in the euro and destroying our society, we say we refuse to destroy our society, and to put forward bold measures like capital controls, like public ownership and control of the banks, to use them as an instrument for developing the economy as opposed to using society and the economy to simply benefit the banks, for public ownership of important sections of the economy, for public investment, to actually create jobs. Because the capitalism in Europe has really bared its teeth over the past number of days. They have no interest in democracy whatsoever, and we will need a left government in this country and in other countries across Europe that are willing to stand up all the way to them and take the measures that are necessary.